not seeing anything, or you're doing this thing.
That's why we're friends unfiltered. Friends, no filter. We just
you
tell
need
each
to have
other
friends
the
without
truth.
exactly. You need to have friends that don't have. Oh my goodness, I was not ready for that one.
I
You
got
need to have. Welcome back to the show, both old and new listeners. I remain your host, Bill, and I have a very special guest with me here, Mr. Damilola. I'll let you introduce yourself, and then I'll go ahead and introduce the topic for today.
All right. My name is Damilola Onafuwa, and I am a documentary photographer and filmmaker.
He's being very modest, but okay. So this is the first episode of the year, and I'm so excited to be back on your screens. It's been long overdue, but we're just going to get right into it. So today we'll be talking about
Let's get it.
a monster of a topic. It's something that people would see and then they're probably scared. It seems like such a big thing.
Big thing, yep.
But I think the goal of this is to digest it, to break it down,
Right.
and to increase awareness and let people know that this is something that almost everyone experiences at
Right.
one point in their life.
or another, yeah.
So if you haven't guessed already, we're talking about self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage. That's the big elephant in the room today.
Exactly. So the aim of this episode is to cover what it is,
Right,
the signs,
right.
and reasons why people
Self-sabotage, right.
and then also to talk about the solutions, because that's going to be the icing on the cake of this topic. Is
Right.
not just to let them know what it
What but to
how
also
overcome
find
it.
solutions, yeah, right.
Exactly.
Right.
So,
Self-sabotage, that one is a big one actually, because I think at one point or another, everybody has self-sabotaged, right? And if you don't even realize it will continue to happen. And self-sabotage, okay, for definition's sake, right? Self-sabotage is when somebody does something, whether knowingly or unknowingly, that kind of creates some sort of stumbling block in the way of their progress, right? Or they do something that is disadvantageous to them. Also, again, I say whether they know or they don't know. So that's self-sabotage, right? And there's so many, ways where people can self-sabotage, and there's so many reasons behind it.
yeah, we're going to get into
We're going
all
to
of
get
that.
there. Yeah.
So yeah, like you rightfully said, it's you being your biggest enemy.
Yep.
You standing in your way.
Biggest up. Yep.
Exactly. You have
Right.
goals, and you
Right.
consciously or unconsciously,
Unconsciously,
like you
yeah.
said, do things that in the end of the day or at the end of the day
Does not make you achieve
undermine-
those goals.
exactly.
Yeah. Right.
You're making
right.
decisions that undermine the goals that you've set for yourself.
Right.
And then that would allow us to transition into the reasons why
Why do people
people
self-sabotage?
self-sabotage.
I mean, you tell me, why do you think people self-sabotage? Considering the fact that sometimes they do it unknowingly. So why do you think it
I
happens?
think if we're going to talk about the why, then let's talk about the origin.
The origin. Okay, cool.
And I believe what the origin is childhood trauma. And this comes
One
in-
of the reasons, maybe.
this I'm talking more of origin now.
Origin, yeah?
Yeah, for a lot of people.
For a lot of people, okay.
And
Yeah, I'm glad that you said a lot of people, because not everyone.
It's not
Yeah,
everyone,
exactly.
yes.
Yeah, all right.
and
All right.
maybe because you think again that childhood trauma is another big thing.
It is.
Well, it is, but it manifests in different
Different ways, yeah. Yeah.
For some people, is neglect
Yep.
as a child.
Yep.
For some people, it's unstable emotional support. The support is here today, is gone tomorrow. That's another form of, childhood trauma. For some people, it's bullying.
Okay, I never thought about it that way, but yeah.
That's why I still don't want to say everyone goes through it, but a lot of people do.
No, but there are layers to these things. Sometimes certain things happen to us as children that we have no control over.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
The question is, should we continue to allow them to lead our lives, especially as we grow older? Because I feel like if I start to self-sabotage myself, well, we can go ahead and talk about this in the what do you call it, in the solutions, but I'm just struggling to accept that the biggest origin of self-sabotage comes from childhood trauma. I'm struggling. I'm not saying it's not right. I'm just struggling a little bit to
Well, I
fully
think
accept it.
the reason that I would say that is
Mm-hmm.
because these things do not manifest in your childhood.
Yes, they
They
eventually
happen
come much
in your
later in
childhood,
future.
but they
Yeah,
manifest much later
right,
in your late teen years, in your early 20s.
right,
So they
right.
don't manifest
In secondary
immediately.
school, when you
Yes.
stop doing your assignments,
So
right
those it comes in childhood, but it manifests much later in the
after,
future.
right, right. So, what do you think are some of the reasons? Well, let me say some of the things that I think are the reasons for self sabotage. I think sometimes people self sabotage because they think that what they want to achieve or that thing that they want to get is beyond them or they don't deserve it.
Yeah.
So, I say whether it's knowingly or unknowingly, because some people like think like, oh, do I deserve it? Like, how do I get it? Then they sort of like, I would say this is tending towards more the what do you call it? The annoying bit is like, this thing is too big for me. So, or setting unrealistic goals again is another reason.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand? Either somebody, first of all, does not believe that something is too good for them. I'm trying to look for the English word that we use for that. When somebody doesn't think that they deserve something
Like
that's
imposter
happening to them, like
syndrome.
imposter syndrome can be another reason for self sabotage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
So I think it happens first in the mind, right? And another reason also that I think for self sabotage, to be honest, a lot of people fall under this is laziness. Do you understand? Some people are just lazy. They don't consider things like as important as they should, or maybe I should not even call it laziness. Maybe I should say it's comfort.
Yeah.
Some people are probably just too comfortable,
Okay,
and as a
and on
result,
that, there's something I want to touch on.
okay.
I think it's called debt drive.
I've never heard that one before.
Well, on this podcast,
We hear new things.
exactly.
Yeah.
So debt drive, it's a psychological phenomena where the where humans are innate to run away from responsibility and seek comfort,
Yeah. Comfort. Yeah.
and that leads to
Self sabotage.
because
Yeah.
in your mind you think if you avoid doing the things that you need to do, like procrastination, for instance, if
Yeah.
you avoid doing
Procrastination is another. Like,
yes,
yeah.
if you avoid doing the things that you're supposed to do, you won't have any responsibility on your
Right.
hands.
Right. Right.
And
That makes sense.
yeah, and like fear of success too. There's another
Fear of success.
another
Hi.
example.
No, but that's the thing, right? Fear of success.
People
Yeah,
don't
and it's
talk
a thing
about
that
it
a lot of
enough.
people don't talk about.
Yeah.
Like, it's so success is sometimes very uncertain. You're not sure what will happen. So after I now blow now, what will happen?
Exactly.
It's like,
So for some people, they fear success because of the uncertainty. Some people fear it because they believe that there's so much responsibility
that comes with
being
it. Yeah.
successful.
Yeah.
And then for other people, they fear that they're going to lose it.
Yeah.
So it's like you attain a certain height and then you're
You're
so worried
afraid
about
that you
how
won't
to
come
maintain
down again.
exactly,
Yeah.
because when you get that success, you're put on a pedestal.
So
on a
you'd
spotlight.
rather not even go there.
Exactly. So again, debt drive.
Self-sabotage,
You
yeah.
rather just
Stay where it's
clear
comfortable.
than become a one-hit wonder, for example.
Yeah. Or than try to attain something big. Yeah.
And then also, it's easier for you to blame your current situations because you didn't try
Mm-hmm.
than for you to try and fail.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. Like, strongly believe, actually, that failure is a part of life
Oh, definitely.
that is inevitable, that everybody needs to go through. Because so I'll throw this to you. Like, if you knew, right, that you had 100 times to fail in this life, right? Anything you do, 100 is the cap. That's your amount of failures that you will have in this life. How fast would you try to fail?
Every hour.
Every hour, right? So that by the end of the day, you failed
I've
100
failed
times,
everything,
right?
I know
And then
that
you can
success-
succeed.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's a part of life. Failure, success. But I tell you what, everybody has like a cap of times that they have to fail in this life. I don't know what the number is. I just used 100 hypothetically, but success, in my opinion, is constant failure, and sometimes life has to bulge at some point.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like,
give in.
guy,
Come
you
on,
don't
this guy
try.
don't try.
Do you understand?
Exactly.
And also, it's not just that life bulges, it's that for every failure you are learning. So one of the things that you do is, for every failure you try not to repeat the same mistakes you repeated the last time. So it's like, my personal recommendation is that people should fail more. Do you get? So don't self-sabotage. Don't be afraid of failure now. Abba.
Another thing that which I think is also a big thing, which was
Yeah.
something that I actually struggled to accept was actually a thing,
Yeah.
was the conflict between what we want, what we think we want, and what society wants for us.
That one is deep. Oh.
Yes. Let me break it down.
Break it down.
Again, this is as a cause
Right.
of why people self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage, yeah.
So there's what you actually want deep
For
down.
yourself, right.
There's what I think what you think you want and what society wants for you, there can be like put together. So let's just put it what you truly want and what society wants
One's
for
for
you.
you, yeah.
For example, a very cliche example. Let's say your parents want you to study law
Or medicine.
or medicine.
Those are the...
And you want to do something entirely different. Maybe something in the arts or something in tech, for example.
yeah.
So the conflicts between what you want and what they want
They
for
want
you,
for you, yeah.
deep down, it causes you to sabotage the things that relate to what they want for you.
Does it?
It does. It happens.
No, but we've had cases of people who go ahead to do what the parents want or what society wants. I don't recommend.
Let me
What
give you- let me
what
give you
society
another-
wants, and then come back to what they want. We've had...
Let me give you an instance.
Yeah.
Well, that's for people that don't self-sabotage. I'm saying those,
Right.
like, for some people, they can see it through. I've
Yep.
heard instances where people now say, okay, take the certificate, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm
Not
going to
everyone
do my
has
thing.
that-
Yeah,
That willpower to go ahead.
right.
Another instance.
And some people just outrightly say no
yeah, exactly.
and do what they want.
Another instance would be where this comes in, this conflict between what you want and what people want for you.
Yeah.
I'll say in relationships, for instance, if you're dating someone that deep down you know you don't like this person, and you find yourself starting fights for no reason.
For no reason.
Hoping that they would end it. It's unconscious.
Okay, so now this takes us to like the places where people self-sabotage. People self-sabotage in careers,
Yes.
in
In
relationships, in health, in business. So I'll go to relationship now because you mentioned relationship. That's a scenario, right? You didn't like somebody and you were dating them in the first place. Ingredient for disaster. All right. But then let's now say that you see somebody, right? You were dating them, but in your heart of hearts, you feel like, I don't deserve this person. And then you start doing things that sabotages
Well,
the
that's the
relationship as
flip
well. That's
side.
another one. Do you understand? So it depends. Like we're saying, reasons. Human beings are very complex, and there's so many reasons why we do so many things, and it cannot be fully understood, right? But I think that at the core of it is a conflict, right? Whether between what you think you want and what you want as well. Do you understand? That same conflict, the analogy you use, there can be, so I won't remove the third one, but there's the conflict between what you want, what you think you want, and what people want for you.
Let me even add another
Do you
one.
understand?
And
Yeah.
what you think you deserve.
And what you think you deserve. Well, there's also that. So all of these things, all of these different layers can cause self-sabotage.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it's ultimately all starts from the mind. It's about this brings me to this point to talk about also like one of the reasons why people self-sabotage is how do you see yourself? Who do you think you are? Do you understand?
Yeah.
The question about who you think you are also can cause you to self-sabotage you. If, for instance, then I'll tie it back to you saying child trauma. If somebody has been told all their life that they will amount to nothing, do you understand? And they've internalized it and they've accepted it, that that's who they are, that they're failures, they will constantly self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Because as they grow up, when stuff comes up, the voice in their head will just say, that you amount to nothing, and then they'll just sit down in that comfort and like, I don't care. That's another reason.
Yeah. So let's link it now to signs.
Right.
So from what you said just now, a sign will be negative talk.
Negative talk, yeah.
When you constantly see yourself
Telling
down,
yourself, down talking yourself, right.
and this could be things that have been said to you,
Yeah.
things that you probably didn't initially think, but maybe you've heard over time, and then
And it could
becomes a
also
part
be
of you.
it could also be thoughts, like your own intrusive thoughts.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
So over time, if you consistently see yourself saying things like you don't amount to it, I don't deserve this,
I don't deserve this. Yeah,
things like that,
yeah,
then that's a sign that you're a self-saboteur.
yeah. Constantly self-sabotaging yourself. Yeah.
Another sign would be procrastination.
Procrastination. Yes, I agree. If you're constantly pushing forward what you're supposed to do now,
Things that you need to do,
things
that
you
will
need to
benefit
do.
you at the end of the day, then
yeah, it's a
it's
sign.
self-saboteur.
Yeah, saboteur.
Yes.
That's a new one for me also.
We learn on this podcast. I do my best to,
Right.
So, what else? Another sign that I would say, okay, I'll talk about the attribution theory
Right.
and I'll relate it to how it's a sign. But the sign in itself, it's basically when you see yourself always blaming others for your situation.
For your own mistakes.
For your own mistakes.
Yeah, and you don't take responsibility.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
lack of accountability is a big
Sign of exactly.
self-sabotage.
I completely agree. And I find that, many people or anyone who is constantly pointing fingers at other people is probably feeling guilty for not, doing what they need to do in their lives.
And so what attribution theory basically is about is saying when you point fingers at people or when you never take accountability, when you blame everyone.
Blame everyone, yeah.
It's to protect your self-image, to protect your self-esteem.
Self-preservation.
Internally. Exactly. When you keep
Yeah.
telling yourself that nothing bad that happens to you is your fault.
It's your fault, yeah. It's always other people's
It's always
fault.
someone's fault.
Yeah.
That's attribution theory, and it's self-sabotage. And on the
is.
flip side, it's also when good things happen, you equate it to luck.
Yep.
It is never that you deserved it.
Or
It's
you
always-
worked for it.
exactly,
Yeah.
It's always that it works.
You were just
it happens
lucky.
by
Yeah.
chance.
Right.
So
right.
it's a flip side. So the bad one you think favors you when you're blaming everyone, but when good things happen at the same time, you also
You
never
don't
attribute
own
it
it.
to yourself.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right.
You always think, I was just lucky. Or when
That can also be imposter syndrome.
those are very interlinked.
right.
And we've done an episode on imposter syndrome. So,
Right.
well, if you haven't listened to it, go and check it out.
Check it out.
They are very interlinked.
Yeah.
Imposter syndrome and self-sabotage.
And self-sabotage, yeah.
So that attribution theory is a very big spotlight.
Yeah,
on.
I really, really, really find that very, very deep and very meaningful in the sense that anybody who's doing stuff with their lives, anybody who's like creating stuff, constantly doing stuff, they don't blame other people for they don't point fingers at other people. Do you understand? And I think that as a what do you call it? As a sign, a symptom, right, of self-sabotage is if you find yourself constantly blaming somebody else for things that you had a say in or are supposed to take responsibility for, then your chances are that you're self-sabotaging yourself in more ways than one. Yeah.
I think another thing is the lack of growth mindset. When things get tough and you walk away from things,
you cower.
easily. Exactly.
You cower in the face of challenges.
That is a waving flag,
Right.
a self-sabotage, and it's something that you need to pay attention to.
Right.
Because we should naturally have that instinct to want to push through,
solve problems.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Meant to solve
problems. Yeah.
But when you find any little challenge or difficulty, you
Jackpot.
cower. Exactly. if you plan everything to a T and something
goes wrong,
you give that as an excuse to
for everything to just
exactly.
Because that in itself is self-sabotage.
Because that one thing
didn't go as how you planned it.
Then you say I know do it again. And there's something that someone I know says very often. It's important to know when to give up.
Right.
When you know that this thing is actually not working. But that, I feel, is only efficient for people that constantly put themselves out there.
If you have tried after so many times, because I do not expect that somebody will try something once, it doesn't work, and they just give it up.
Yeah.
Definitely. Do you understand? After you have tried, you have analyzed, you have seen that there is no way, right? Then maybe not even give up, maybe go around. Right? Because re-strategize and go around it. Because at the sign of people who self-sabotage is like in this regard that you're talking about is people who, as soon as something does not work, right, they just pack it, and blame the fact that thing did not work on that incident that happened or that thing that did not make it work. First sign of danger, I'm out. First sign of problem, I'm out. First sign of it did not work, I've done my best, I've tried. You haven't done your best. You just tried and it didn't work. And I feel like, this is not even a feeling. This is something I strongly believe. I strongly believe that for anything worthwhile to be achieved, it must have some form of pushback, some form of resistance, right? It's one of the ways that I check, even myself, that if I'm doing something and it seems too easy and there's no form of pushback, I sit down and I reanalyze it. It's like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? But if I do something and there's a kind of pushback, it's like, first sign, something is there, because the world doesn't just throw anything at you. Like, it doesn't just give you leeway, just be going. Do you understand?
And that's happening. That's a flag.
That's a flag for you to recheck, like, what's going on, right? But when there's some sort of resistance, some sort of like pushback, and that's when you know that, okay, I'm probably up onto something here. Something is probably supposed to happen here. Because if you find that many of the big things that have happened in this world didn't just happen like this. It happened after some form of resistance, some form of pushback. Do you understand? And then you have to rethink. You have to rework your formula. You have to go around it. You have to now find solutions. So a growth mindset is very, very important in avoiding, self-sabotage. One has to get to the point where when a problem arises, the first thing you're thinking about is not running away. First thing you're thinking about is, how do I solve it? Right? And when it's beyond solving, take a bow.
You have to believe that your goals are worth sacrificing for.
Right.
So another thing that I want us to talk about, which is another sign, is perfectionism.
I'm guilty of I'm very guilty of that one, yes. And I understand, I've seen cases where that has caused me like self-sabotage. I'm very guilty Guilty as charged.
I think it's just an avenue to, or an excuse where deep down you know that these standards that you're setting are unrealistic, but you set them anyway just so you can cower.
Not
No, wait, hold
always.
on. Again, self-sabotage is sometimes unconscious. Let's
Yeah,
remember that.
yeah.
Obviously, hearing it like this in your mind, you're thinking, there's no way I would want to do that for myself.
Exactly. Nobody wants to sabotage themselves.
Exactly.
Well, we just find out that we keep doing it again and again. Yeah.
So that's what perfectionism is, because you have to know that things will not always be, things will almost never be
Things
perfect.
will never be perfect.
Or
Never.
never be perfect.
Never. Yeah.
There would always be something, and you need to understand that setting realistic goals is the first step for you to actually achieve those goals. And when you struggle with perfectionism, you most likely will not get a lot of things done.
Yeah. There's a lot of things I haven't gotten done in my life because of perfectionism.
Yeah, you want it to be perfect. You want to have
Yeah.
the best of that. You want it to be a particular way.
Yeah.
And you just end up doing nothing. And
Yeah.
then time just keeps.
And acceptance is the first step, to letting self-sabotage go.
Are you ready taking us to?
No, that's not my intention, but we'll go there eventually because there's a number of everything, like you said, everything will never be perfect. Like nothing in this life will actually ever be perfect. If you think about it, like 9 out of 10 times you have imperfect situations that people are using. But now constantly I'm finding myself going out of a stage of imperfection. There's a saying that I saw recently that says it's better to get it done and then make it perfect later. Do you understand?
Yeah.
We must always understand that our first ever stuff or whatever it is, whether it's first ever film, first ever photo, first ever YouTube video will not be perfect. Do you understand? It's like we must. It's a point in my life where I'm starting to reach, and I'm like, hey, you know what? It's okay if it's not 100%, right? But there's also a thin line between making it perfect and trying to avoid it being bad altogether. Do you understand?
Sounds like you're making another excuse.
That sounds like it because. It may sound like it, but bad altogether. And bad is very subjective as well. Do you understand? So it's a question of what is actually bad. Do you understand? You got it out of your head and you created it. It's done. Do you understand? Then after you do the first one, can you improve it? Can you look at the first result and say, okay, that one I did not do well. Let me tweak it and add this part that was not there in the last time. And then you find out that over a period of time, you start to grow. So I didn't say that to make a case, right, for perfectionism. I said that to say that it's okay even if it's bad at first.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you understand? If it's bad at first, then take what's bad and look at it again. Give it to people to look at. Let them even yab you. There was one project that I did in one of the biggest projects that I've ever done. I had people tell me it was a bad project. It was a bad idea, right? I did it anyway. Did I do it? Was it the best possible results that I could get from that project? Absolutely not. But that project opened so many doors for me that I can imagine. Imagine that I had it needs to be perfect and I didn't put it out there. Do you understand? It would have just died. You would have lost opportunities that you did not even know existed. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And a lot of people lose opportunities that they don't know existed because they are self-sabotaging, because they are trying to make it perfect, because they are trying to, wait for the perfect time or the right time to do stuff. It's like, it doesn't work that way.
I mean, the goal should always be progress.
Progress, not perfection,
Because small, to keep getting
Let's
better.
keep getting better. I'll use Friends Unfiltered as an example. When you first start your first episode of Friends Unfiltered, I'm sure sometimes you look back at it and you're like, what did I do here?
It's actually really crazy because thinking about that first episode now, we had there was no video then,
Right.
but to give a picture, how we recorded that episode, it was my phone,
Mm-hmm.
and we put it center of the table,
Yeah.
and about like five of us just gathered
I'm like
gathered
talking.
around, and so when someone is talking, having hand gestures like,
Shut up.
do you understand? And like you
I
said,
can imagine.
there's just been so much growth.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that when you actively put things out, you achieve.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be able to, see if you're being truthful with yourself.
Yep.
You would honestly see that things will get better. You just
They
have to
always
do
do.
it. You just have to do it enough times.
Right. Right. Things always get better.
Yeah.
Always. Always. Right. Even when you look at your life, right, where you were last year probably is not where you are this year. I mean, even if all that has changed, and I'm not saying some people have like massive, difference in their life, but some people, if you look, even if all that has changed is that you bought one pair of new shoes, or you used to eat one time and then it turned to two times, it was like things always get better. And it's a matter of like, what did you do, right, to get there? It's like we have to constantly do things that make sure that we do not, prevent our own growth, that we don't stop ourselves from growing. That the goal is that as long as I am better than I was yesterday, do you understand? That's enough for today. Tomorrow, we go again. My goal is that tomorrow I have to be better than I was today. Do you understand? And there are certain things that you know that you need to do, right? It's best to just start doing them.
Yeah. So I think we can now transition into the solutions.
What are the solutions?
How to overcome self-sabotage.
Yeah.
In another episode, I think I would go more into the solutions, but just for the sake of you got to this point in the recording, let's give them something to take home. And I think this is one of the most important aspects of this episode.
Yeah. Of any conversation is
Exactly,
a solution.
the
Yeah.
solution. So,
Right.
like we mentioned earlier, I think you said, was it acceptance?
Yeah. Acceptance.
But I would term
First
it-
things
I would
first.
term it's more awareness, which they are more of the same
Yeah.
thing.
More or less.
When
More or
you
less.
need to be first aware that you are self-sabotaging. Consciously or unconsciously, you need to take time to actually reflect.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see a constant repetition of missed opportunities in your recent past?
And some opportunities you don't even realize that you missed because you just didn't do things that you need to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you kept postponing, you missed a particular deadline, and like this turn of events will just lead to you missing opportunities.
Missed
at the end of the
opportunities.
day.
Yeah.
So
Right.
reflect.
Self-assess.
Access, exactly. Have you been doing these things consciously or unconsciously? You just need to be aware first.
Aware.
Then when you're aware, you can
You
now
accept.
accept.
Yeah.
then
And then you make
find
changes.
the
Yeah.
solution. So for negative self-talk, for example, I think a solution would be replacing this with
With positive thoughts. Yeah.
positive thoughts like affirmations, daily affirmations. If you know you're someone that constantly beats themselves, you're hard on yourself when you make a little mistake, it's like you just go too hard on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Try to say more positive things instead of saying I can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
Say things like I can
Mm-hmm.
and I will.
And I will. Right.
Right.
Right. I agree. I feel like positive affirmations, there is like nobody can do it for you. Yeah, you have to do it for yourself. Even if there's a lot of negative energy coming from outside, what comes from inside is more important.
Yeah.
Right? And positive affirmations is like, even if you don't say it yourself, I think it's important to think yourself worthy of love, to think yourself worthy of success, to think yourself worthy of all these things. And it's a matter of time. The world actually listens to you.
Yeah.
The world listens to what you tell yourself and what you say. So it's important to to keep a positive attitude towards yourself, even if I will go back to like child trauma now. Even if you've been told all your life that you cannot amount to anything, it does not matter what other people say about you. What you accept, what you affirm, right, is way more important than anything. So I think positive affirmation is one strong one.
Yeah. Another one would be to break down goals into simpler.
Easy, achievable steps.
Yes.
Yes.
So when you break down your goals, you set smaller deadlines, and you just stay accountable to that.
Yeah. And if you achieve the goal, right, pat yourself on the back.
Exactly. Rewarding your little wins will give
Exactly.
you
It
so
will
much
give you so
momentum
much ginger, so
to do
much.
more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's something I did. I think I've said it on the show before. Something I did last year that really helped.
Yeah.
My little wins, I used to journal them down.
Right.
So I had my quarterly achievements.
Right.
Every quarter, I have things that I have done, no matter how big or small. And then when I'm feeling down sometimes, I go back
Just go on.
and I
Yeah.
just remind myself that, come on,
I
what do you mean
did
you've
that.
not achieved anything this
Yeah.
year? Look at all
Yeah.
of this.
Yeah.
And then your morale just comes
Comes
back up.
back. Yeah. And to make it practical is like, it's something I used to do always. It's like if I said I will do this, right? Say for instance, I say I will not spend more than 20K this week, or I'm traveling and I say I will not spend more than this amount on this thing. As soon as I go through that process and realize that at the end of the day, I'm very careful. I want to make sure that as soon as I realize that I hit that goal, I'm buying myself ice cream. Well-deserved ice cream. I will eat it and I will enjoy it.
Yeah.
Do you understand? It's like, now I said I was going to do it and I did it. So I deserve this treat. Do you understand? And the ice cream, it may cost, say for instance, more. It may cost a lot of money. Do you
Yeah.
understand? It was like, in that moment, there's no guilt. It's like, this is reward. Because I said I was going to do this and I did it. So sometimes I think it's important to reward yourself for like tiny, tiny wins. I will write for 5 minutes every morning this week, right? If you do it at the end of the week, cook yourself a very nice meal, or go to, if you, for instance, you will say, I will eat at home. Do you understand?
You won't
Every
eat
day
out.
this week, I won't eat out every day this week. At the end of the week, if you successfully do not eat out, you eat at home. On the weekend, take yourself out to a very nice restaurant and buy yourself good food.
Yeah.
Do you understand? It's
Reward
like
yourself.
reward yourself. Tiny, tiny goals, things that you can easily do. For somebody who is lazy, for instance, and that has caused them to, constantly self-sabotage. One thing that I learned from somebody that I really respect and I listen to is that you're lazy. You don't feel like doing anything. You've lost your morale. Like there's nothing. It's like when you wake up first thing in the morning, just make your bed. That's your only task for the day, right? Get out of the bed. All the clothes that are there, even if all you have to do is fling it away from the bed, just make sure that bed is tucked. And when you have done it, look at it. Does it look good? Yes. You have achieved that goal. It looks very minute, very tiny. And then set that as a goal to do every morning, right? Before you know it, you can extend it to
Laying your bed
and folding
Laundry.
just two pieces of laundry, like not too much. It's like after laying the bed, let me fold 1, 2, mission accomplished.
and you just keep
I'm a
going.
bounce, and then you start growing. You keep growing that way. It's like, because when we break down goals into small things, it's a signal to our brain that if I can do this, right, then I'm not that terrible. I'm not that useless. Do you understand? And your brain is energized. Your brain is happy. Our brains want positive signals. Like we crave it. And when we are unable to give ourselves such positive signals, our brain
Depresses.
because it depresses. It feels sad. If you say, I will do this one thing, very small, and you do it, your brain is happy
Yeah.
because you say, I'm going to do it, and then you did it. So those are some of the ways, those are some of the tiny, tiny ways where people can, after acknowledging, after accepting that, oh, I do this to myself, those are tiny things that some
Yeah.
people can.
You can also replace bad coping mechanisms, because a lot of self-sabotaging behaviors are actually bad coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
For example, you have a deadline, you're feeling stressed and anxious, and you go and doom scroll on TikTok or Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah.
To you, it's like this is something that you're doing to relieve that stress, to get away from that anxious
What's an
space.
easier thing to do? What's a different thing to do?
But
Not easier, because the coping mechanism that you're trying to replace is easier. That's why you always go to it.
Yeah.
So are you saying that we have to do difficult things?
No, I'm saying replace it with things that are more healthy.
Like,
So, for instance, instead of abandoning a project, an hour-long project, and then going to scroll on TikTok, why don't you do it for 5 minutes?
5 minutes, perfect. Yeah, that also goes back to breaking the
Into
goal
smaller
down into
tasks.
smaller tasks.
So you have to replace, like if stress eating, for example, if you're
Yeah.
stressed, you eat,
Just
and you
eat
have
it.
fitness goals.
Right.
Obviously, that decision is undermining
Your fitness goals,
So
yeah.
again, that's self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
But if you say when you're stressed, you do mindful exercises, you meditate, you're replacing those bad coping mechanisms with healthier ones.
yeah.
Or healthy ones, because the other ones are not even
I
healthy
know.
at all. So
Yeah.
replacing those coping mechanisms with more
Yeah,
healthy
early
ones.
ones, yeah. That's profound.
Yeah.
That's very profound.
And another thing that just came to mind as you were saying some of the things you said earlier was one reason why some of these signs are hard to pick out is because they are socially acceptable. Let me give you an example.
Yes.
Being extremely busy
Right.
is something that people would cheer on.
Yeah.
You have no time for your physical needs. You're neglecting yourself, all in the name of your hustling. It's something that the society encourages. Like, more guy, you're everywhere. You know, they even rest.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Right. It's
Or-
like there's like a badge of honor attached to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Being too busy. There's this other alcoholism
Right.
It's another thing that-
Ebola.
that society encourages. That
Yeah.
are self-sabotaging behaviors.
Right.
Because
Right.
I mean, it's okay to have alcohol once
A
in a while.
bit,
but
yeah.
Society has made us forget that alcohol is actually a drug.
I didn't know it was a drug.
It's a drug. Yeah, like
Yeah.
if you can't take pure alcohol
Yeah, you can't. It has to be
because pure
processed.
alcohol
yeah.
is a drug.
Yeah, true. Okay, yeah.
Do you understand? So,
Yeah.
but society will make you feel that okay, it's okay to get
Hi.
high, drunk. It's okay to be hangover
Yeah.
after a long day. But then these things are self-sabotaging behaviors,
Yeah.
which will eventually lead to things like substance abuse or
Yep. Or even
alcoholism.
health issues.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So some of these things are socially encouraged, and that's why they're so hard to pinpoint sometimes. But when you reflect and see that, how do these things affect you as an individual?
Yep.
How does you not resting for days because you're working? How does it affect you?
As an individual, yeah.
Then you'd accept, access, and then you
And
change.
then you change. You do something different.
Exactly.
Because you cannot continue to do the same things.
Can't.
Same results always. Makes sense. Well, you've said it. I think ultimately, it's just important to self-reflection is 100% important in dealing with self-sabotage.
Yeah.
It's very, very important because if everybody lies to you, it's just important for you to not lie to yourself, right? And people who self-sabotage see the results in their lives.
Yeah.
It's like it's
evident.
there. It's obvious. It's like you were supposed to, do something and you didn't do it because there is always actions and then there's always consequences. Action or inaction, but for either of them, there is consequences.
Yeah.
Right? If you're supposed to do something and you don't do it, the consequence for it is that the result you were supposed to get, you will not get it. So it becomes very obvious. So yeah, if what I would say is that if somebody is not happy with the way their life is going or certain things, then it's time for them to reflect and reassess.
Yeah.
And
Because
reassess,
at the end of the day, you ultimately can be aware of these things to the level at which you know yourself.
Yep.
Or to the level at which you're in self-denial.
Yep.
So on those two ends of the spectrum, that is how much you'll be able to access whether you're actually going through this thing or not.
No, not, yeah.
I think one final thing, which might not be the final thing,
Yep.
but one other thing that I would say is a solution is having people that you're accountable
Accountability
Having a
is so
solid-
underrated,
to.
man.
A solid circle,
Yeah.
a solid
Yeah.
friendship circle. And you can be accountable to family, you can be accountable to
Friends
you
can be accountable.
to a therapist.
Yeah, you can choose a mentor that you're accountable to on your goals.
Yeah, because tough love is so important.
It's important. It's
When you
important.
when you have friends that call you out,
And you're not
with
angry.
compassion.
And you're not angry that they're calling you.
no, if you're angry, that's a you problem.
Yeah.
But you need to have friends that can call you out.
And I can tell you the truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
The ones that are doing it out of love,
Yep.
obviously.
Yep.
When you need to have people that can call you out and bring you back on track.
When you're trying to stare off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like a lot of times this can only happen if your quality of friendship again is
It's
good
solid,
enough.
yeah.
If it's beneath the surface level of just vibes and chill.
If it's the same kind of people that also self-sabotaging,
Exactly.
like, yeah.
Like if those are the people you have in your circle, then
It's like
it's like the blind leading the blind. You're
downward
all going
spiral.
to enter the pit together. So you need to
Yeah.
have people that know your goals. That's another thing. They can barely call you out
If they don't know
what
yeah,
you're trying to achieve.
to achieve, yeah.
So
Right.
again, having good quality friendship is important.
It's important, yeah.
So when you
For
have
everyone.
for everyone,
Yeah, whether you're suffering with your self-sabotage or not,
you need to
yeah,
have quality
quality
friendship.
friendships are important.
So when they know that this is what you're trying to do, and then they see you going this way, they can call it, how far now? You said you want to
yeah, do this
do
thing.
this, do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I'm not seeing anything, or you're doing this thing.
That's why we're friends Unfiltered. Friends, no filter. We just
you
tell
need
each
to have
other
friends
the
without
truth.
exactly. You need to have friends that don't have. Oh my goodness, I was not ready for that one. But you need to have you need to have friends that don't have filter.
Yeah, I mean, but they do it. They have to do it.
Exactly,
Yeah,
but
but yeah,
There
good.
needs to
Yeah,
be a good
with balance. Yeah,
Know when and how to
right.
say the truth.
Right.
So-
Right. As when you say it, speaking in love.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's nice.
So we have come to the end of this episode. Should we tell them that secrets?
What secret is that?
Okay,
You didn't tell me the secrets. But yeah, tell us the secrets.
this is actually a re-recording.
Okay.
That is the big
Okay.
And honestly, during that period of us having the space in between the first one and now, there was so much that went through my head, which again is this episode. Is
Yeah.
now- is calling calling it out to
Yeah.
me. So yeah, we filmed this, and then life happened.
Yep.
We had to film.
And then we
Record
lost the
again.
files and we had to do it again.
So again, when you're hit with difficult situations
And
you come back
challenges.
and you try again. Imagine I said, this is the first episode of the year and this happened. That is a sign
It's
that
over.
I am not meant to do anything Friends Unfiltered this year, and I just
Yeah.
woke up. Then come on.
Then we will not have this episode. Then you will not be listening to this
You will
episode.
not learn and you will not grow. But we don't want to do that to you. So if this episode helped you in any way, shape, or form, pass it forward, share it. Subtly, don't go and say how far you're destroying your life. Go and listen to this episode.
Yeah.
Or send it to your family group chat. I did not send you. But like, if this episode helped you, share it. That's the only way we can grow. The
Right.
podcast can grow.
Right.
Share it, like, comment, rate us on whatever platform you're listening to. If it's Spotify podcast,
Spotify, Apple
YouTube,
Podcasts,
wherever. Subscribe,
YouTube.
comment. Let us know what you think. Is there something that we missed that you want to add to the other audience or fellow audience?
Can learn from
also
that.
learn from you.
Right.
And yeah, we also have Unfiltered takes. If you have episode suggestions, if you want a rerun or a follow up of this topic or any other topic that we've done, do let us know. We want to hear your stories as well. So normally Unfiltered takes, because this is the first episode of the year,
Yeah.
we don't have Unfiltered takes in this
Yeah,
episode.
but in
But
subsequent
normally,
editions,
yes,
yeah.
we'll have like if people have stories they want to get the guest opinion about,
Yeah.
then
We'll read them out.
exactly, and then we'll go over that.
I'm
So-
looking forward to coming back on Friends Unfiltered.
Yeah, so if you want Damilola back here, let us know.
Let me know.
As well. So, yeah, thank you for listening, and we will see you in the next episode.
Peace out.